My entitled neighbor demanded I let her kids use my pool whenever they wanted, snapping, "If you didn't want to share, you shouldn't have bought a house with a pool." When I refused, she jumped the fence and held a pool party, laughing, "What are you going to do, call the cops?" Her smug expression faded when the police arrived and announced, "Ma'am, you're trespassing, and you're being sued for damages." I had always wanted a home with a pool. Living in Phoenix, Arizona, where summers are brutally hot, having a private pool seemed like the perfect way to cool off. After years of saving, I finally bought a house in a quiet neighborhood. The backyard was my personal retreat, featuring a beautiful pool surrounded by a well-maintained garden. Not long after settling in, I met my next-door neighbor, whom I'll call Nancy. Nancy was in her late 30s and had 2 young kids. She seemed friendly at first, always waving and making small talk. One afternoon, as I was tending to my garden, she approached me. "Hey there. Welcome to the neighborhood," she said with a warm smile. "I couldn't help but notice your pool. It's gorgeous." "Thank you," I replied. "It's been great, especially with this heat." She nodded, then her expression turned more serious. "You know, there aren't many pools around here. The community center's pool is always crowded, and my kids have been begging for a place to swim." I sensed where this was heading. "Yeah, I can imagine. Summers here are intense." She hesitated for a moment before continuing. "I was wondering if you'd mind letting my kids use your pool from time to time. It would mean a lot to them." I was taken aback. I valued my privacy and was concerned about the liability of having others use my pool. "I'm sorry, Nancy, but I'm not comfortable with that." "I hope you understand." Her smile faded. "Oh, come on. They're just kids. If you didn't want to share, you shouldn't have bought a house with a pool." I was shocked by her audacity. "I'm sorry, but my decision is final." She huffed and walked away, muttering under her breath. I hoped that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. A few days later, I noticed wet footprints leading from my pool to the side gate. Alarmed, I checked my security cameras. The footage showed Nancy and her children climbing over the fence and using my pool. Furious, I confronted Nancy the next morning. "Did you and your kids use my pool without permission?" She smirked. "What are you going to do, call the cops?" "It's just a pool." "Yes, it is my pool. Stay off my property, or I will involve the authorities." Nancy rolled her eyes and walked away, clearly unbothered. Determined to protect my property, I installed higher fences, added locks to the gates, and posted "No trespassing" signs. I even consulted with a lawyer to understand my rights and ensure I was taking the necessary steps to prevent unauthorized access. For a while, things were quiet. Then, one weekend, I noticed an unusual amount of noise coming from my backyard. I looked out the window to see a full-blown pool party in progress. Nancy, her kids, and several other people were lounging by my pool, laughing and splashing around. That was the final straw. I called the police and reported the trespassing. When the officers arrived, Nancy had the audacity to act surprised. "Ma'am," one officer addressed her, "you're trespassing on private property." Nancy scoffed. "Oh, please. We're neighbors. Sharing is caring, right?" The officer shook his head. "Not when it comes to private property. You and your guests need to leave immediately." As they dispersed, I informed Nancy that I would be pursuing legal action for the repeated trespassing and any damages incurred. Her smug expression faded as reality set in. In the following weeks, I filed a lawsuit against Nancy for trespassing and property damage. The court ruled in my favor, and she was ordered to pay for the damages and legal fees. Additionally, a restraining order was issued, preventing her and her family from coming near my property. The ordeal was exhausting, but it taught me the importance of standing up for my rights. My home is my sanctuary, and I wasn't about to let anyone take that away from me. Nancy's sense of entitlement had led her down a path of legal trouble, and I hoped she learned that respecting others' boundaries is not optional, it's essential. A week after the police got involved and Nancy got that court order, things were quiet. Too quiet. She didn't say anything. No more fake smiles, no more passive-aggressive comments across the fence. I figured she finally got the message. Then the eggs started showing up. At first, I thought it was some kid messing around. One morning, I found 2 raw eggs splattered across my back window. Cleaned it, moved on. But then it happened again. And again. Not just eggs. Trash started appearing in my front yard. Banana peels, soda cans, random junk. I knew it wasn't random. Nobody else on the block had to deal with it. I checked the security footage and caught blurry images of someone tossing stuff over the fence around midnight. The figure was short, quick, and always had their hood up. I couldn't be sure, but I had a strong feeling Nancy put her kids up to it. Still, it was hard to prove. I called the cops again. They told me to document everything, save the footage, and keep a log. So I did. Then came the dog poop. Bags of it. Tossed over the fence, landing in the pool on the deck in the garden. I started to dread looking outside. I installed motion lights and added 2 more cameras. This time, the footage was clearer. It showed Nancy's teenage son, around 14, walking into my yard at night, throwing a bag over the fence and sprinting back. I filed another police report. They brought Nancy in for questioning. She denied everything, of course. Said her kid was asleep, said it could have been anyone. The officers warned her again, but without hard proof of her ordering him to do it, they couldn't press charges. 2 days later, I came home to find my gate wide open and the lock sawed off. My pool water was green. Someone had dumped an entire bag of dirt, leaves, and what smelled like motor oil in it. I stood there staring, heart pounding. This was no prank. This was war. I had everything on camera. The footage showed Nancy's son again, this time with 2 of his friends. They hopped the fence with tools, broke the gate open, and dumped the mess in my pool. One of them even gave the middle finger to the camera on his way out. I called the police again, showed them everything. This time, they took it seriously. Charges were filed against the boys for vandalism and trespassing. Since they were minors, it went through juvenile court, but it still hit hard. Nancy was forced to pay for the pool cleaning and fence repair. The day after the court date, I walked outside and found something that made my blood run cold. A dead rat nailed to my mailbox. No note. No sign of who did it. Just the rat. I felt sick. This wasn't just petty anymore. This was a threat. I went full lockdown after that. More cameras. Reinforced locks. I even got a motion sensor alarm for the yard. I stopped sleeping well. Every sound outside made me jump. I was always on edge. Then one night, around 3 a.m., my phone buzzed with a motion alert. I opened the camera feed and froze. Someone was in my backyard. A grown adult, not a kid this time. Wearing dark clothes, creeping toward my back door. I hit the alarm and called the cops while watching the figure run. They didn't even try to jump the fence, just crashed through the side gate and vanished into the street. When the police showed up, I handed them everything. One officer reviewed the footage and muttered, "That's not a kid. That's her. Nancy." It wasn't crystal clear, but the body shape, the hair, the way she moved, it all matched. They questioned her, but once again, she denied it. Said she was asleep, had an alibi, the usual excuses. They didn't arrest her. Not yet. But the officer told me she was being watched closely. They warned her one more step and she'd be facing real charges. I tried to stay calm. Keep living. But I knew it wasn't over. People like her don't back down. They don't quit. She had a plan. And I could feel it brewing. A few weeks passed. The pool was cleaned. The locks were changed again. The cameras were working overtime. I kept my head down, avoided Nancy completely, and tried to get back to some version of normal. Then my mail started going missing. At first, it was small, credit card offers, utility bills. But then I noticed something serious. My mortgage statement was never delivered. Neither was a package I was expecting, an expensive replacement pool filter. I checked with the post office. They said everything had been delivered on time. But it wasn't in my box. I asked to check the neighborhood security camera at the corner. After some back and forth with the HOA, I got a grainy image showing someone opening my mailbox during the day and walking away. Again, the person wore a hoodie and sunglasses, but their body language was all too familiar. I filed a report with the USPS inspector and the local PD. Tampering with mail is a federal crime. Still, the process was slow and nothing immediate happened. So I went to a P.O. box. Changed my delivery preferences. But the message was clear: Nancy wasn't finished. She was looking for new ways to get under my skin. Then, out of nowhere, I got a notice from the city. A formal complaint had been filed against me. It claimed I had an illegal structure in my yard, unsafe electrical wiring, and a pool that wasn't fenced properly. I had passed every inspection when I moved in. Everything was up to code. But city officials still had to follow up. An inspector came out. Luckily, he was decent. After a walkthrough, he confirmed everything was fine, but let it slip that the complaint had been made anonymously by someone next door. It was her. She was trying to get the city involved. Trying to make me spend money, waste time, stress out. I documented everything. Then something changed. She stopped bothering me. No trash. No strange sounds at night. No missing mail. It was like she vanished. I started to relax, just a little. Maybe the legal heat got to her. Maybe she finally realized she couldn't win. Then a for sale sign went up in her front yard. I laughed when I saw it. Thought it was over. Thought maybe the pressure had gotten to her. But the night before her open house, my backyard caught fire. A corner of my shed went up in flames, quick, small, but real. The fire department said it was likely started by a flammable liquid. They found an empty gas can tossed behind my fence, half burned. The camera caught nothing that night. The one facing the shed had been ripped off, the cable cleanly sliced. The police opened a formal investigation. They treated it as arson. I was questioned for hours, asked if I had enemies. I told them everything. Gave them every report, every incident. They promised to take it seriously. But still, no arrest. No proof. And then came the twist I didn't expect. One afternoon, a man knocked on my door. Mid-40s, serious face. Said his name was Greg and that he was Nancy's ex-husband. They'd been divorced for years, but still shared custody of the kids. He got my address from the court records. He told me Nancy had a long history of harassment. She'd been reported by neighbors before. In 2 other states. She used to live in Nevada, then moved to Utah before ending up here. She does this, he said. She finds a target. Usually someone who says no to her. Then she starts this thing. This campaign. He said he was trying to get full custody. That she was unstable. That he had proof of her manipulating their son into vandalizing homes before. She has a pattern, he said. She pushes and pushes until people snap. Or she gets caught. I just wanted you to know you're not the first. That changed everything for me. I wasn't just dealing with an entitled neighbor. I was dealing with someone experienced. Calculated. Obsessive. Nancy's house didn't sell right away. The fire spooked buyers. She blamed the neighborhood, complained about me to anyone who came to see the place. I heard her yelling at a real estate agent one afternoon, calling me names loud enough for the whole street to hear. And then, one night, I got a strange text. No caller ID. Just the words, careful. Next time it won't be the shed. That's when I knew this wasn't done. She was playing a longer game. And I was going to need more than cameras and locks to finish this. I took that message seriously. I forwarded it to the cops. They couldn't trace the number. A burner, they said. They added it to the case, but didn't offer much else. I realized I was on my own. So I got smarter. I installed backup cameras, ones that didn't connect to Wi-Fi. They recorded to a hard drive hidden in my garage. I bought a cheap trail camera and put it inside a hollow fence post near the back. I even left one of my other cameras disconnected on purpose, hoping she'd disable that one again. Then I waited. For weeks, nothing happened. Nancy kept her distance. Her house sat on the market, but no one bit. The fire scare and her loud rants had ruined her chances. People in the neighborhood avoided her now. I could see it all over her face every time she walked outside. She was furious. Isolated. Losing control. Then, finally, she snapped. It was 2:47 a.m. on a Thursday. My phone buzzed with motion alerts. I opened the feed and watched in real time as Nancy walked into my backyard with a red gas can. She didn't even try to hide. She moved like someone with nothing left to lose. She poured gas along the side of my house, along the fence line, all around the shed again. Then she lit a match. Only this time, it didn't catch. What she didn't know was that I had replaced my mulch with fire-retardant landscaping rocks. I'd also swapped the shed wall panels with flame-resistant siding. She tried again, lighting a small rag and tossing it, but it fizzled on the ground. All she got was a tiny puff of smoke. And I had it all on video. I called 911 while watching her try over and over to light anything. When the police arrived, she was still in my backyard, pacing like a wild animal. They arrested her on the spot. That part felt good, but it wasn't the end. Her ex-husband, Greg, got full custody of the kids within 2 months. Apparently, she had missed one too many court-ordered visits and therapy sessions. He sent me a thank you message, saying he could finally sleep at night. Nancy was charged with attempted arson, stalking, criminal trespassing, and destruction of property. My lawyer filed a civil lawsuit the same week. It was the most expensive mistake of her life. But here's where I admit something. I made a mistake too. I kept pushing. Even after she was arrested, I made sure everyone knew what she did. I posted about it in every local Facebook group. I sent the footage to the HOA board and every realtor in the neighborhood. I talked about it with anyone who'd listen. I thought I was protecting others. Maybe I was. But part of it, if I'm honest, was revenge. I wanted her reputation burned to the ground. And it was. But in doing that, I made myself a little infamous, too. Some people said I went too far. That I turned into the villain after she was gone. The HOA started giving me grief about my security lights. My insurance dropped me, claiming I was high risk after the fire report. A few neighbors started avoiding me, whispering like I was part of the drama. I won, but I didn't walk away clean. Still, I sleep with both eyes shut now. The pool's quiet. No trash. No fire. No threats. Just the sound of water and silence. And a brand new, 8-foot metal fence with motion sensors, barbed tops, and a sign that reads, "Trespassers will be prosecuted." Smile, you're on camera. Because if anyone tries it again, I'll be ready.